There is a praying mantis in my room. That's probably the most exciting thing that happened to me today.
Let's go. And I saw in your story, was it like was it fighting off some spiders for you or something?
That was just him showing his weapons. Like, you know, in fighters when they're filming them before the walkout and they're just like, huss, 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 huss. He was just doing that. He was showing me, he was like, I can get the job done. I'm the man for the job. Keep the bug spray in the cabinet. I know exactly what to do. I think, this has happened to me before in my Bondi apartment. Because I never clean spider webs because I just hate spiders in general and just going near anything spider related. So it's a bit of a problem. It's sometimes in the places I live, but then same in Bondi. One day I just had a little praying mantis come in and just kill every fucking spider. And then so shortly after that, because then I know it's safe, I'll do my cleanup.
I think you got to ask yourself, what do you hate more, spiders or flies/mosquitoes? And I think if your answer is flies/mosquitoes, the spiders are on your team, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't get that bad.
No.
Like I said, sometimes it's just the webs become a problem, not the spiders themselves.
Yeah,
and that's the issue with not wanting to interact with the spiders, just like a bit of a web build-up situation, depending on the layout of your house.
Yeah.
But yeah, been a bit of a crazy week. So I kicked off actually I need to go back further. So crazy week, I actually booked in with my therapist. I know I've been talking about it. Don't get me wrong, my life isn't in complete disarray, but I'm a little bit disappointed that I let myself get this stressed out before booking in again, because I was really getting on my high horse in terms of like how good I am at taking care of my mental health ever since I've been to therapy. And I said I would go back when things were good, just to sort of prove to myself that, like, you know, I was very responsible for my mental health, not waiting for things to go to shit. Not that I knew that they would, but, you know. Sorry, and again, not that they've gone to shit. There's just so much going on in my life right now. I just need someone I can fucking vent to and dump on. And I think that would increase my productivity, because I was also getting to a point where, can't remember if I brought it up to myself or my girlfriend brought it up. They're like, you know, you're going on about this. I've got this like 900-day work streak that I'm on. They're like, have you thought about taking a day off? And I'm like, I'll book in a therapy first. And then I'm open to taking a day off, because as well, like, I can't let that become a thing that fucking controls me. Like, and I haven't. Like, I literally just enjoy working every single day. Like, that's not the reason I have shit mental health. It's just because I take on too much. And even in all the things that I'm taking on, I've still just absolutely cooked things. Like, I've got a powerlifting comp this week, and I order timing gates. This is another great story. So for anyone who needs timing gates, because my only bits of data for my sprinting progress, I have a 10-meter fly that I did on my second last UK trip. That was like almost 18 months ago now. And then I've just got my 2 races. Other than that, I've never timed any of my sprinting. All of my assumptions about progress have just been like me watching the footage back, being like, it looks a little bit better, or it looks a little bit quicker. Anyway, the reason I haven't had timing gates yet, but imagine if you were like lifting, right, and you're trying to gauge your progress and you could never tell what weight was on the bar. Like, fucking insane. Yeah, obviously I'm a noob, so like you would assume they're just putting effort into running. But again, as soon as you can measure something, I'm confident that this is going to be good for progress. But timing gates are really expensive. But I just like, fuck it, I'm just going to bite the bullet. But then I see these skills timing gates at Big W, of all places.
What? Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen skills like agility ladders.
Yeah, crazy $160. And I was like, surely these things don't work. Way too cheap. So the downside of them is the longest distance you can measure is close to 50 meters. But I just want it for 10-meter splits and things like that, because after talking to Jack Edwards, like a lot of the work they're doing with track speed development, I don't know if this is saying they worked out. This is probably saying that, who knows who worked this out. This is saying I learned from those guys, though, that max velocity is like an amazing proxy for sprint time. So in terms of like, if I can get my 40 to 50 10-meter fly down, I spoke to Jack Edwards and he was saying he reckons 1.02. So because obviously as soon as my timing gates rocked up, went straight to the track, did the biggest max velocity session of my fucking life, trying to get a 10-meter fly PB. Because the first time I tested, I got 1.07. So this time I managed to get it down to 1.06. And that was just like a random day. I honestly wasn't that aroused. So if I anyway, whatever, I'm going to time a bunch.
So that goal is 1.02.
All my sessions now. Yeah, got to whittle another 0.04 off my 40 to 50 meter fly, and then theoretically, I've got the max velocity for a sub 1200 meters.
But did we say you excel?
I've also got to work on, yeah, so that's the thing. That's under the assumption that I'm not absolutely dog shit. But like, it's interesting. Even I'm like, how baggy, they're like, so, but then it's interesting. I think I'm maybe a bit, not an anomaly in terms of my sprinting ability, but in terms of like what my max velocity is getting close to and how shit my acceleration is. So
yeah,
maybe the data doesn't apply to me, but I'm going to start. So what I haven't measured, and my next data point that's going to help me unlock this sub 1200 meters, I'm going to measure my 20 to 30 fly time, because it's hard to do my 0 to 10 just because I need to like run through the gates. So I'd have to set up like really, really close to the gates as possible, but trying to not set them off. So I'll just do a 10 meter run in and do 20 to 30. Because that's going to give me a really good idea of how well I'm accelerating. So, and I think I need to get that, like, I don't actually know. I think like close to 1.2. Maybe it doesn't have to be, maybe it can be like 1.23. I'll have to run that by Jack again. But yeah, so that's,
and did you say yeah. Didn't you say you had a powerlifting thing? Were you going to get to that or?
Yeah, so I'm getting into that. So that's part of why I fucked my P. I absolutely cooked my hip flexor. I had to take 3 days off the gym. I was going to head back into the gym today, but then so I started the mentorship last night. It was the first lecture of round 12 of the mentorship. Just as I'm getting to the bit about the biopsychosocial model, I'm rubbing my feet on the carpet, and my girlfriend's been sewing in this room, and I literally cop a sewing needle like so unbelievably deep in my big toe. I think it touched the bone, and like in the middle of the call. And I thought at the time I thought I explained what happened. I thought I said, sorry, I've stabbed myself with the needle. Like my girlfriend uses this room to sew, but all I said was, I'm sorry, my girlfriend uses this room to sew. And then I'm like just making noises for another 30 seconds as I like ripped out of myself. And then eventually I hold it up and I'm like, I had a sewing needle in my toe. But yeah, it just, for them, their perspective on the call would have been super awkward. I think I actually went into panic. I finished the lecture.
You would have?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It was so, I cannot express how deep it was.
Oh, were you like pulling it out and you're like, it's going, it's keeping on going.
Yeah, insane. One of the second craziest thing that's ever happened. I still think the sneeze is the number one craziest thing that's ever happened to be on a Zoom call. But yeah.
That's fucking mental. Wait, are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. So like, because I went straight to bed because the lecture time's like quite late, so I went to bed not soon after, and I think I was still a bit like stressed out from it. It was just because it was so unexpected.
Obviously,
I think it really startled me, and then I went into another mentorship lecture, which, like I said, I'm pretty good with them now, but like still a little bit of a source of stress. And then, yeah, I was just a bit rattled today because, like I said, just got a lot going on at the moment. Got a lot of my clients competing at the moment as well. Mentorship kicking off. Competed like a week ago, push-pull run, heading into the powerlifting meet, and then kind of fucking my peak for that. Just a few things just overwhelm me. Trying to launch a few products at the moment. Trying to launch a new community. And that's when I can't bitch about my mental health, because it's like as soon as I explain it all, I'm like, I'm just got a few too many irons in the fire.
Just maybe not your plate.
Do a bit of therapy, fucking strengthen the mind. Fucking take that.
You got to work out that brain, man.
Yeah, totally. But like, is that not the whole thing? I guess with mental health, is that like you can have so much shit going on. It's like it's not necessarily about like you don't have to have directly bad things happening to you to have bad mental health. Do you know what I mean? Or have mental health.
Yeah, I think I don't know if this. I'm sure this is not a scientifically valid way to talk about mental health, but for me, on a personal level, yeah, this is a deeply personal perspective on mental health. I've always had a deep fear about going insane. due to certain experiences I had with family members when I was young.
Right.
And so for me, when I can identify obvious things in my life that would be triggering my mental health, it's really comforting because I'm like, oh, I just need to get my fucking life in order. Like there's nothing actually fundamentally wrong with me. So it's probably a bad way of talking about it. But like I said, just talking about my perspective on my own mental health. But yeah. So like I said, as much as my mental health's like, it's not even that bad. Like I said, so much good stuff going on. Like I said, that's why it's sort of strange to talk about because I don't like to bitch about it. I feel obligated to talk about it because, and again, I feel like I'm being really responsible here. Again, if I need to take a day off, I will. I just don't think it'd be helpful. I think I don't think
you need to justify you going to therapy. I think it's completely normal. Like,
nah, I think
that's the annoying thing because I kind of have. Whereas again, I should have been going the whole time. Oh, it is pretty expensive. The therapist I like going to is quite expensive. I shouldn't be using this one as my daily, my weekly. I need to find a cheaper weekly. Whereas this is my like, let's really fucking do the deep work person. Tried and tested. I've only ever had one therapist, but yeah. I guess that's another reason why I was a little bit hesitant to go back to it because I don't want to just
maybe your weekly one needs to be just someone that you can just tell shit and just goes to the ether where and
that's what this is. That's why I'm just going back to my old one because like I've already got the relationship and like I just literally need someone to dump on because like otherwise it just comes out in fucking like Zoom calls with clients and stuff. They're like, how you going? You're like, not that good. And it's just like pulling on a fucking thread.
Yeah, I feel you. It's actually really hectic.
I have a very small one-to-one on my roster. Like we have pretty good relationships, so it's not that weird when I do that sort of shit. But again, case in point.
Yeah, it's funny though. I pretty much did the same thing like this week / last week. Like fully emailed mine for the first time in ages and was like, "What up? Let's do this." And again, nothing particularly. Like it's not like I'm in a really bad spot or anything, but it's just kind of like I've not done that in a while. I probably should. But yeah, that's so funny that we both did it at like the same time.
No, it's good. I
wish I could say that I
do it, Jacob.
Maybe I should after listening to this is probably a good shout, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's worth it.
Totally. Oh, you audience member that
I ever did. Definitely helped with my performance at work and improve my overall happiness.
Oh man, it's
confidence as a person as well. I think actually,
it's one of those things where like it's like it doesn't matter how many people it takes telling you that it's the best thing ever. You're still a bit like, yeah, well, I don't know, until you do it, and then you're like, no, it's the best thing ever. I don't know why everyone like. I think it should be compulsory, to be honest with you,
because it's like in that in 8 Mile at the end, how he gets him because he says all the shit that he's gonna say about him before he gets the chance. I feel like going to therapy is kind of like that. Like there's going to be some things that you probably are going to be really confronted by about yourself that you're going to learn about yourself just through the process of life. But you might be able to learn about some of those things and process those things ahead of time if you're fortunate enough to maybe not have had experiences that have already forced you to go to fucking therapy. But yeah, I just feel like it just gets you out ahead of things. And yeah, that's what, like I said, just gives you a better perspective on yourself, I think.
Totally.
They help you with that.
Yeah. No, for
and
sure.
Just explain, like I said, I cannot tell you how many times I was just yapping. Like your therapist just makes the face out, that's not normal. And you're like, right, thank you. Didn't know that.
Totally. My favorite ones they'll just basically say something back to you that you said to them, like very slightly differently, and you're just like, oh. Yeah, no, that is me. I understand though. But yeah, it's fucking hectic, man.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm going to give it a shot.
Good segue out of that one. But yeah, I'm keen to get my 10-meter fly time down as well. I don't know if therapy will help with that, but we'll see. I think, biopsychosocial approach.
I was just going to say, did the Big W things, did they do the job? Because I'll take a Big W sponsorship on this podcast. If they want an ad read on here,
could not believe how good it was. Again, Skills is the brand. Is it just spelled Skills with a Z and there's no I in it? SKLZ. Unbelievable value. We'll see how long they last, but yeah, so far couldn't speak highly enough of them. I'm like I said, it seemed accurate. Like I did a bit of a count on the phone. Not that that's the best check, but yeah.
Yeah, I know you're checking with something worse, but
Yeah. Well, cost of living, you gotta fucking make cuts.
I feel like the iPhone would be pretty accurate because surely it's going off the frame rate because it gives you the two.
Just depending if you have a high frame rate, like 240 or something, so you can get it down to a T. Yeah.
Do you really need 240?
Oh, if you want that accuracy that you're after.
100 frames would give you 2 decimal places, right? Or am I tripping? I'm just going to stop talking about maths. It's too late in the evening.
What do we got?
But regardless, what's measured gets managed.
Yeah.
What was the first thing on the run sheet? Or do you guys have any life updates? That's my shit.
Not massively. I'm in Japan. I just got here. So I don't really have much to tell you because I haven't done anything yet. But I'm here.
How many times have you been to Japan in the last calendar year?
I know you've been.
This will be number 3.
Okay, I thought it was 4. That's not too bad.
No, come on. I'm not a lunatic. This will be number 3. I tell you what, my bank account's not looking great though, so we're just gonna have to breathe steadily in the shops and see if we can make it out alive.
Have we spoken about Ryan Garcia pissing hot? Because I just had a look at the run sheet, and obviously I've got the talking point of I found out that Devin Haney apparently works really closely with Victor Conti. And we'll get into who Victor Conti is. A lot of our listeners should already know who that guy is if you're as passionate about steroids as we are here at the Hyperformance podcast. But yeah, did we cover Ryan Garcia pissing hot?
I don't actually
sense
think
to me
we
that
did.
we probably haven't.
Yeah,
no, we have not. We have not.
Capping off the chaos of the Ryan Garcia v Haney fight. So he misses weight. He does the whole acting crazy thing. Also, his life is genuinely going to shit, but he plays up the craziness. It seems like he deliberately misses weight. And then it turns out he failed both the pre-fight. So I guess there's a drug test right after the weigh-in or maybe just before the weigh-in, and then the post-fight drug test as well. One of them, so for sure he's tested hot for a sub. There's a couple of layers to this, depending on what assumptions you run with. And I think that he's flagged for nandrolone, which is a good old-fashioned steroid. But apparently every human produces some aspect of nandrolone endogenously. It's a precursor to estrogen or a byproduct of estrogen or something like that. So there's further testing required. But it wouldn't necessarily be surprising. I think the fact that it's flagging is it's a particularly high level. Saying like maybe is endogenous, but it's looking like it's not. Like I said, the more interesting detail to me is, and again, I need to double check this, but again, we're not fans of fact checking here at the High Performance Center. Word on the street is on all the MMA podcasts that Devin Haney actually works closely with Victor Conti. Victor Conti is like the Michael Jordan of steroids. The
Has he
only
worked with
other
any
guy that
athletes
comes
in the
close
past?
to him in terms of reputation is Broderick Chavez. Victor Conti is responsible for like all the Balco stuff. So you can go watch, there's a really good Netflix documentary recently. There's been heaps of documentaries on the Balco saga. So Victor Conti was actually a musician, and we've talked about him recently on the podcast because I think Harvey corrected me. Actually, maybe it was Callum Burns corrected me. Victor Conti was in, what was the jazz band that Jaco Pastorius was in?
Weather
Because I
Report.
got it confused saying that Victor, yeah, that's it. I said Victor Conti was in Weather Report. He was in Tower of Power.
Right, okay.
Which is actually heaps funny. If you know both of those bands.
How did you make the switch? What the fuck?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. This is not really relevant to the story. Victor Conti is a very interesting man. If you really want to know a lot about Victor Conti, it's one of Joe Rogan's best podcasts. It's quite early. It might even be before like episode 500. Maybe it's like around episode 600 or something like that. He does a 3-hour interview with Victor Conti where he's pretty open about what he got up to. But the crux of it is he had a family, so wanted to get out of music. And then he acquired this machine that did like blood work really simply and cheaply for athletes. And it would identify mineral and vitamin deficiencies and things like that. And he could come up with nutrition plans to help their performance. But then he also realized that it could drug test people. And then so initially where he got a lot of his work was working with bodybuilders, actually making sure that they were getting the right shit because that was their interest. And obviously it was a mutually beneficial relationship because he was testing their gear to make sure it was adequate. Like they'd be like, I'm on trend. And he'd be like, no, you didn't test positive for trend. They sold you some garbage. They sold you something else. And And then that allowed him to develop his system to understand how long these drugs stayed in the system for and all the different effects and all the dosages and yada, yada, yada. And then he just became the doping guy for a lot of athletes. Obviously, we'll never really know the full extent of it, but I'm guessing there's proof about a lot of the baseball guys. And then one of the sprinters who he helped set a world record has definitely come out and talked about in this Balco documentary.
Wow. How did you go up against the Icarus guy?
A guy who and again, the assumption would be that Devin Haney hires him like as a nutritionist. But it's like, you happen to hire the guy who's like not known as like the world leader in nutrition for your nutrition, but just getting the world leader in steroids for your nutrition. I'm doing the bunny ears for everyone who's not watching on YouTube for your nutrition. I just think it's that is a bigger red flag than a failed drug test, because what's interesting about it, so the SARM that Ryan Garcia pissed hot for, don't get me wrong, it's very popular for athletes who cheat to use this SARM, very popular SARM. In a lot of the cases where it has been proven with pretty good evidence that it's been a contaminated substance, this has been the most popular SARM for all those contaminated substance cases.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I know that like the whole thing is, like, I know it's just hard to prove anyone of anything, and I know that like every excuse they make is a bit kind of like just could be complete bullshit. But are we looking potentially at like I don't know, like this guy likes to party. We all know it. Are we looking at like a John Jones dick pills situation thing potentially here? Or like, could he have been at a party taking something weird and this ends up in your system? Is that kind of how it goes?
All of those things are potential variables. That's why the situation's complex. It's like, okay, so like even if he did do it on purpose, what was the intention behind it? Like, was it just an FU to Haney, or has he always been doing it? Or could it very well have been a tainted substance? But again, athletes know that it is genuinely commonly in tainted substances, so it is a great one to take because you've always got that up.
Right, yeah.
Did Haney piss hot or not?
Like, there was probably a period where you could go and take this SARM and then like reliably just go buy a bunch of boxes of all the supplements that you heard it was in. And just be like, all right, if I get done, I'm just going to send a bunch of these to the lab.
Yeah, right. Okay, hectic.
But then the tainted supplement thing shouldn't really be an excuse, because there are supplement companies that have very high standards, and a lot of their brands are built on the fact that they say you will never fail a drug test if you take our products. So basically, there's certain brands that you go with where you're almost forgoing the opportunity to say that.
Right,
I don't think Ryan is checking his supplements like that. Like so many UFC fighters, like there was like a hotline that they could bring before they took medications to see if it would like violate their drug testing policy, and fighters would just never use it.
Yeah, right.
Whether they were trying to cheat on purpose or again.
Man, it's such a fucking minefield, but like it's just more fuel to the fire though, that like, because again, I don't really know the history. I don't know if it's happened before, but I was watching a thing briefly before, like apparently Garcia's been beefing with McGregor now, and like a bunch of other shit's been happening, and it's just like
it's way too much. Yeah,
it's too much. But he's just like, it's honestly kind of like the dream angle for someone who looked like they were kind of over the whole boxing life, but like want to make big money, be a bit of a celeb. Like the fact that he can do all this, it's like he's caused the biggest stir, but also put on like the best performance kind of in the division. Like, yeah, man, it's kind of crazy.
I think O'Malley got thrown into the mix as well.
Outside of this drug, which could go either way still, like it could end up being a non-issue, I'd say it's going to end up being a bit of a problem for, like I said, even if he gets done for it, it's like it's the fine. The only thing that could really screw him here is the time off. So people are saying most likely 1 year ban. If they really want to make an example out of him, it could be 2. That would be unfortunate. And in theory, he could go fight outside of the US, but then he'd ruin his chances of ever fighting in the US again. So again, he probably would serve whatever ban he got. I think it's valuable to be able to fight in the US.
Well, I mean, I think currently, like,
year would be fine. He probably could handle a year off.
I was going to say, I think he's taking a year off anyway.
The moment was so huge. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because surely, if anything, like, if he's going down a normal boxing route, surely he wants a rematch with Devon's, like, kind of hot. The way to go, like, in that sense. And Devon's not getting in the ring anytime soon after that.
I don't know. Everyone keeps saying this. I don't see why he would give Devin the rematch, because like he's just been so disrespectful about it the whole time. It would seem like an odd behavior change to me. He has no obligation to, contractually or organizationally, belt-wise. I understand that, like, and that's the thing, Devin Haney pay-per-view wise, like Ryan Garcia is the star. Devin Haney was getting there just based off his performances, but he was really being like promotionally pushed.
Right.
He's definitely one of the bigger names. Yeah. And them just with them potentially heading in, not necessarily heading in different directions weight wise, but I think Ryan's heading up. I'm not sure what Devin's doing.
Okay.
I think that if I was Ryan, I would just want to sit and see a couple of fights play out and see how the landscape shifts around a little bit. And
totally. That's what I mean. It's like, surely he's fighting fucking McGregor or O'Malley or Jake Paul soon.
Big. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like he would want to maintain the momentum he has in serious boxing just for a little bit. Whereas whenever he wants, that's always there for him. And of course, it would be bigger if he did it now, but the same way, all the legit stuff's bigger if he does it now, and that won't be necessarily there in the future for him. Like, if he loses his next fight, I don't know if many people want to entertain him for like big ops. He'll still get opportunities, but like I think he'll be taking a step down in opportunities quite quickly.
Yeah. Have you seen him pick up some music, guys? He's made a couple songs, performing with people now.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You got to milk.
I mean, he can do whatever the fuck he wants after doing all that shit, I guess. So who knows? He might release a hydration supplement or some shit. Go down that route. Never know. He's also promoting like these random like ashwagandha. He was like, "Thank you, ashwagandha. Thank you, ashwagandha."
No, that was him blaming the ashwagandha supplement. He said that was the tainted one.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I've got it all wrong. I don't know. Twitter right now is a fucking war zone with all this rap beef as well. So we're not getting into that, but yeah.
Oh, God.
It's just an absolute war zone.
Am I lame for not giving a fuck about two grown men rhyming about each other? I'm glad they're not shooting at each other, but
is this the
that's thing? It's too much. It's too much now. I can't keep up. I tried. I can't.
Man, I haven't even paid attention, but like I just feel like Drake is now just accepted that like the best chance at having like a more notable influence on music is just by like actually beefing people who have had a notable influence on music.
But did Kendrick Lamar accuse Drake of sex trafficking?
Like having relations with minors and stuff like that, which is a bit crazy.
That's interesting.
I mean, that's definitely worth bringing up. Maybe not in a rap. Maybe bring up to the police. But you know,
If you're serious about it, I guess it could be complex though. But I'm guessing.
I'm sure it's not a simple issue. Really, it's a bit of a.
I listened to one of the tracks that got posted on Instagram. So I listened to one of each of theirs. I think I listened to Meet the Grahams. It was the last installment.
There's a lot happening. There's a lot to cover. So
it was one of Drake's Family Matters. I think I listened to that.
Yeah.
None of them were great tracks that I want to listen to again. I get how if you're into the beef, you'd want to listen to the tracks again and again and again. But being not into the beef particularly, like the tracks themselves don't stand up.
Oh no, it's like 5% the music and the rhythm and the rapping.
Kendrick's artistry, but it's just not my jam. He went like I find it surprising how commercially successful Kendrick Lamar is. Again, like with full respect to his music, it's just like there's no hooks.
And it's very methodical and very well thought out. And I think it just flies over people's head as well for the main people.
I know what you mean about like it surprised me that King Kunta and all that stuff went as hard as it did. Like I totally get Swimming Pools.
Was that the name of the album? King Kunta.
No, it's Good Kid, Mad City.
No, Good Kid, Mad City's got like Money Trees and all that on it. And Money Trees is the
other one.
That was insanely pop. It was like ridiculous.
To Pimp a Butterfly was when he went.
Pimp a Butterfly was also, that makes sense to me how it was commercially successful. This isn't a diss as well. Like I always shout out Red Hot Chili Peppers for being a band that was like super weird and somehow he's commercially successful, which I think is cool. Like relatively speaking.
No doubt. No doubt. But that's what I mean. I don't know. I feel like at this stage, it's like, I don't know. I did feel like Kendrick like makes art and tries to progress things. Drake just kind of is a pop star.
Commercial based, yeah.
You know? And that's fine. Do your
That's
thing.
again why I don't find the matchup interesting, because that's the whole bit was like, well, most people, I guess, well, maybe not most people, but Drake has the bigger fan base. But it is obvious that Kendrick Lamar's way more artistic and
no, it's the thing is that it's literally like
in terms
a
of
one
Spotify plays right.
Yeah.
Followers on Instagram. That was sort of my gauge, which I realize isn't the best gauge because I didn't realize that Tool's last album knocked Taylor off top spot on the charts. Shout out to Tool fans. They are fucking crazy.
I believe Tool are one of those bands who held off from Spotify for ages as well. So I think.
Oh, right. That helped them do it.
So I think it was a big deal when they finally put the discography on Spotify. So I think that probably helped. But yeah, it is crazy. But it's the same deal when Drake was like, was he not fucking beefing with Kanye for ages as well? And like,
yeah, and Pusha T and all these.
Say what you want about Kanye, it's just the same kind of thing. It's like, why are you throwing punches at like someone just in another league? I don't know. I was just kind of like, no one considers Drake to be like a art progressing, like super skilled rapper. You know what I mean? He's a pop star, and I love. Like, but
you can't deny that he knows how to make a hit song.
Oh, he knows how to make a hit. That's what I mean. Make your hits, but like, I just feel like he's out here beefing with people who are just on like a different fucking planet,
slightly different lanes,
and it's a bit embarrassing.
It's the whole thing is that it's literally the entire industry against him. It's like 20v1. There's no one on his side. That's the whole.
That too. I just, he's really carved out a niche for himself as just like a huge baby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And no one likes him anymore.
Bit of a naughty boy in a legal
school. Yeah, exactly. It seems like Rihanna pied him kind of publicly, and then he's just been sulking in a corner ever since and just telling people they're not very good.
Yeah, there's a lot about that with Rihanna too. Yeah, it just gets a lot. But yeah.
All right, that's more the time that I wanted to dedicate to rap beefs. Maybe we'll check back in with the next week. There's been hell yeah to that. Shout out to our producer. Let's talk about the UFC. Can we talk 301. About the egg? That's what what we're getting to. Should we go bottoms up on the card and finish with the egg? Because I could yap about the egg, and I also want to have a conversation about judging in fights. So should we just go bottoms up from the main card? Because I thought the main card was pretty good.
Which was the backflip fight? What the fuck was that?
Michael Pereira versus Ihor? Yeah, that is worth discussing as well, because that was an illegal strike. And I get it. I'm kind of fine with it too, because of the entry. Yeah, absolutely. It was a kick to a grounded opponent just because he did a cute entry. But then again, I think everyone's kind of fine with it. He probably would have won the fight regardless. That wasn't the main card opener though, was it?
No, there was one more first, which was Paul Craig versus, is it Chiao Baralho?
Chiao Baralho. No, hold on. KO? Oh, God, there's a surf. Kyo. That's it. There's a surf with Sam. Chiao Baralho. I'm 90% sure that's how you say it. Yeah, he had a really good performance. He's touted as a prospect. In his previous fights, he's gone to war with a bunch of guys. Yeah, he's got a good look. Like, it seems like he could be a bit of a star. Like, he seems charismatic. He's good looking. He's got the glasses and stuff like that.
Purely from his little photo in the UFC thing, he looks like he could be like the henchman in a James Bond movie. He's got like a real Jaws look to him.
Yeah, because he also looks interesting.
Yeah, or he could play Bane in Batman. You know.
But yeah, even though people tout him as a prospect, like, he seems really athletic. He has solid striking. Seems like he has fairly competent grappling. But he's just, every single fight he's had has been a bit of a war. He almost reminds me like a little bit of a Vicente Luque, like a second coming of him. So I don't know if he'll make it to the absolute top, but he's definitely a top 10 potential guy. I don't know if he'll be able to stay in the top 10 for long. Maybe he'll exceed my expectations. But hold on. I'm getting it twisted. He's a middleweight Vicente Luque, and that's exactly why he could go to the top, because even just the gap between welterweight and middleweight, it's a much weaker division. What am I saying? He was fighting Paul Craig. Of course he's not a welterweight. So yeah, like I said, I see what people are saying when they're pretty excited about him. He just seems hittable. In terms of dealing with Paul Craig, I think he had nerves and he just didn't want to lose in front of the home crowd. If this had been like an Apex fight, I really would have liked to see a first round finish out of someone where there's such a striking deficit and he was able to get Paul Craig off him. Like Paul Craig, say what you want about his striking. There are some guys where like if he literally gets any hold of you, even just standing completely up, he's strong enough to tie people up and just pull them on top of him and not let him out. Whereas Kaio wasn't really trapped in any of that bullshit. He was just a little bit hesitant to engage. He also got like kicked pretty hard by Paul. But Paul Craig, I guess, has okay kicks. It's mainly
how did you put him away?
Absolutely, just a combination.
Oh, okay.
You could say accumulated damage because even the strike and the combination that put him out, it wasn't massive, and he'd really started to wobble him a couple of times before that.
He looks eerily related to Paulo Costa for some reason. That could be just racism, but
similar sort of vibe. So I don't know what's next for Paul Craig. I wasn't really excited about the middleweight experiment. It started off all right, but last two fights have been really bad.
Where's he from originally?
The Bear Jew.
What?
Scotland.
No. Sorry, weight division.
Kaio. Oh, from light heavyweight.
Oh, what? He cut down?
So Paul Craig was from light heavyweight originally. Kaio obviously has always been a middleweight, just for anyone who's confused who's listening. What was the next fight after that? It was Anthony
That's
Smith.
The Pereira one. Oh, wait, do you want to talk about the Pereira one?
Yeah, we didn't
anymore?
talk about the Pereira one. So Pereira versus Ihor. What was his last name?
Porteria?
Ihor Porteria. So what did he knocked him down, was it with a 1-2? And then he turns around, does the backflip over him, puts his shit on his shoulder and his head. Rattles him a little bit more. Like, I think it definitely would have dazed the guy to the point where it would have been harder for him to react to the choke. But
right.
It's so unfair to say because if you just want to go by the book, the win should have got overturned, in my opinion. Fights have been put to there's been disqualifications for so much less intense and less consequential illegal strikes. But then again, I'm kind of glad it played out the way it did because, like I said, I think that guy was getting outclassed anyway. I don't want Michael Pereira to lose his momentum, as unfair as the sport is sometimes. Like I said, it depends on your perspective of fair because I think the right guy won the fight. But yeah, that was
what the funniest thing is?
It's so interesting how people will ignore the rules when you do a backflip. I guess the referee was just overwhelmed because you're not used to seeing that shit. Like, obviously, it got addressed at the end of the fight. Well, not really. Like, they just talked about it. Like, what should we do?
Do you know what the funniest thing was? I believe in the last episode, you're like, I'm really happy how Michael Pereira is starting to become a bit more tame with his striking and starting to get more serious. And then he goes and pulls.
This is conservative. No, this is conservative.
That was conservative. Oh, yeah.
He would have been doing like that, like 10 more things like that leading up to that moment when he first started fighting.
Oh, sorry for missing.
He's just got a little bit of spice. He's still got to dial it back like
his little bit of spice is backflipping on a grounded opponent.
Spice level. Again, middleweight is getting interesting. Middleweight's got a few interesting guys coming up, especially after
How far is he off?
As far as like divisions that changed based off this card, middleweight was one of the more impacted divisions of this that I didn't really think about going into it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, shall we move on? Who's next? We got
Anthony Smith. Shout out to Anthony Smith for successfully protecting his family. Yeah, wow. I was really writing him off. That guy, we've talked about on this show how gillies are a low percentage submission, but not when you power bomb yourself deeper into it and don't know how to defend it. That was I don't know, Anthony Smith looked good on the feet, but athletically, he looked on the fringe of being overwhelmed. Like his technique allowed him to actually dominate the stand-up, but every time that guy got close to him, I was like, oh my God, the guy just looks so powerful. But yeah, fight IQ was just the star of the show in this fight. Anthony Smith, like I said, he looked really good. He was slick and technical on the feet. He didn't look scared, which was good. He wasn't afraid of confrontations. He stood his ground. He actually won the fight, like got the guy to shoot a takedown by just taking out his legs and just putting a pace on him, turned him into a wrestler. And yeah, just fucking just jumped the biggest ghillie of his life.
Yeah, I've seen so many memes of like Dustin Poirier. Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say so many memes of like Dustin Poirier's wet dream, some shit. But yeah, crazy. And did anyone see Bruce Buffer's little boo boo at the end?
Yeah, that was so funny.
and then he goes,
because Anthony Smith has been so salty going into this, and then he gets a win, and they still find a way to shit on it.
No, because Bruce Buffer goes like, "Oh, sorry," like mid announcement. It was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, fuck. Oh, he doesn't slip up much. So then obviously the next fight, Aldo came back out. As much as I picked Aldo, I'm 90% sure I picked Aldo. Actually, I definitely said a lot of things of like, as long as he hasn't aged too bad, but I'm 90% sure I picked him. But I actually wanted
you didn't write him off, that's for sure.
Because I didn't actually want Aldo to win because I'm pretty sure this would be his last fight and he was just looking to fight out his contract and then clear the way for more boxing events or just things outside of the UFC. That was until he landed that first combination to the body. And I was just like, oh my God, get your swimming trunks. We're going into the deep water. He set the tone from the fight. Oh, he didn't really actually, because Martinez kind of put it on him for the first 40 seconds. But like I said, as soon as Aldo just went, his to the body, I was just like, oh, deep water. I can fucking feel it. And Martinez has just never been there before. No one is going to discipline Aldo with kicks like that. He's just not going to allow it. Aldo had a game plan going into it, clearly, like a real veteran game plan. Be like, what do you know about third rounds? Martinez like, I don't know shit about third rounds. Martinez showed a lot of toughness, and I think he'll be back. This was the perfect time for Martinez to lose and just reflect on his skill set and just, I don't know, just probably needs a little bit more experience. Aldo looked, I wouldn't say as good as ever, but he looked as good as when he left. And like when he left, he was still ranked like third in the fucking division. If he plays the waiting game, there's potential he could and leverages his contract negotiation well. There's potential of him getting a title fight.
What?
Yeah,
really?
Potentially.
What's
he has
rank?
A lot of goodwill from the UFC. He has a name. Well, like I said, the guy he beat was like ranked 12th, but he's also beat like 4 guys inside the top 15 in recent memory. He's beat Rob Font. He's beat Marlon Vera.
Yeah, maybe he does.
Like the only person he's lost to in the division, obviously Yan has a win over him. But that was quite a while ago. Oh my God. Who was, anyway, whatever. Yeah, Aldo could get a title shot. But it depends. Like I said, he's off contract, so it depends why he was actually there. But I would say the way that he won maybe encourages him to potentially try to work his way into a title shot. A short contract. But yeah, it was so good to see Aldo back. Like, man.
Yeah, he's ranked 8 now.
Such good champions. Like in the sense that it sort of does give me hope about the way Volkanovski can. If Volkanovski can age out like Aldo and Holloway, I mean, it's hard to say talk about Holloway aging out, but again, like their post-championship careers, it's fucking insane. Oh, sorry, both of them lost the belt a lot younger. Like Aldo literally is 2 years older than Volk. I don't know what I'm saying here. Let's move on. Let's talk about the egg. So again, fight IQ was the theme of the card. People are claiming it was a robbery. I think the judgment was fair. Like I said, it depends on your interpretation of the rules, and that's what I want to have a conversation about after this. But I think Usyk made such an error shooting that last takedown. He never looked dominant. He looked competent in the grappling all night, but he never looked dominant to the point where it was worth shooting that takedown, unless he was really gassed. But I don't think he was gassed. I think in his head, he was just mixing it up, and he was like, I'll just shoot a takedown. So ideally, like get the takedown, but again, just presenting the threat of it because he was mixing it up so well on the feet, just add another element to it.
That was such a big deal.
He ended up getting control for the rest of the rounds. The thing is, like, control isn't meant to be rewarded that much. Its damage is meant to be prioritized so much more than that. It's not the old days of like, get fucking wailed on for the whole round, score a takedown in the last 10 seconds, and that secures you the round. Like, that was the old meme of UFC judging. It's basically what it fucking was. And it sort of felt like that's how they were scoring the fight. Like, the threats of submission weren't really there. Never really looked like he was in that much danger. He didn't land much ground and pound. But like I said, it wasn't a robbery. Because again, it's not yet too far off how they judge a lot of the fights anyway, because judges still end up rewarding control time without damage in a lot of judging scenarios, which is really frustrating to see. And it's raised a lot of questions about what the scoring should be and like what should the definition of effective grappling be. I just think if you're going to score control time for a grappler, you should score it for the other guy when they're not in control. Like, obviously you can't judge that, but like, so treat damage as the top priority, but then treat control time on the ground just like one guy moving forward on the feet. So reward moving forward on the feet as well by extension. Like I said, as secondary things to judge after damage. Like getting close to finishing the fight.
What was everyone saying after? There was a certain fight where people were like, "Oh, this needs to be done." Was it the Strickland and Dricus fight? I think it was a Strickland versus Dricus fight where he just shot takedowns, and they sort of counted that as like, points. But yeah,
sure
no, I definitely agree.
About a Marab fight?
Maybe that could be also on. But
because shout out to Aldo, he actually had the best performance against Marab in recent memory.
Oh, he gave him a run for his money.
Yeah. Like I said, most competitive fight. Most competitive fight. Wasn't necessarily close, but yeah. It was actually the one he went out
you think he has a shot at, sorry to circle back, but at a shot at the winner out of Marab and Sean if that fight is actually happening?
100%. I don't think he has a good chance at beating O'Malley. I think it's a horrible matchup for him. But I think he has a chance of getting this fight. And who knows? Aldo is capable of anything, but I wouldn't back him going into that title fight.
Give him one more shot. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like O'Malley's just like, I don't know. O'Malley seems like a fucking worst nightmare of a matchup for Aldo.
I wouldn't be excited for it, but I'd respect it and I'd allow it, like I said.
Oh, totally. And I think even given I think it's a good one for O'Malley to have on his resume. Do you know what I mean? Like, just like a total fucking legend of the game.
Yeah, I think the UFC and O'Malley would be pretty attracted to it, especially if O'Malley can't get the Ilya fight or whatever he's sort of gunning for. So we should just sort of wrap up the conversation. So I don't know what's next for Pantoja. I don't really give a fuck. Flyweight's boring me now that the Egg's going to be at least one fight away from a title shot. Shout out to the Egg. He in spite of him losing the fight for himself effectively, obviously, like I said, Pantoja, fierce fucking opponent, worthy champion. Basically just won based off his chin and gas tank, but you got to respect that. It's good.
How the fuck is he still rank 9 anyway?
Surely they'll adjust the rankings, or maybe not. But I'm confident that Steve Erceg will be able to get himself back into the title picture in a couple of fights, and he'll be able to get the belt. I don't know how many more defenses Pantoja has in him if he keeps fighting like that. Again, people said that 1 or 2 fights ago, and he managed to pull off this one. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
Totally. I think the Egg will be back, and I think Pantoja's just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like that division has like had been chopped and changed a bit champion wise for a while, and I think Pantoja's kind of, I don't know. At this stage, I feel like he's kind of there for a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's exciting or not is here nor there, but I think he's like, I don't see who's taking it off him anytime soon. Do you know what I mean?
Imagine you're in a bar, like you don't know UFC, but you're just 301 on. You see UFC 301 on the main event, and you're like, is that the guy that dropped off my fried rice a couple of months ago?
Oh, so that's actually true that he was a...
Yeah.
What?
That's hectic.
Holy shit.
So funny.
That's a real rag.
That's fucked, man. Oh, these people are getting CTE for that.
Shouldn't be able to rank top 10 in the world and just fucking doing deliveries. Don't get me wrong, he was in between fights for quite a long time. He had some injuries, or maybe it was just hard for him to get a matchup, or maybe some opponents pulled out, but still.
Fuck, man. That makes me like him even more. That makes me like Erceg even more. Let's go the Egg.
No, sorry, not Erceg. Pantoja, the actual champ. Before he got the belt, he was like, I was doing Uber Eats before this camp.
Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, no, still fuck Pantoja.
champion speech was legendary. He got on the mic and he was just like, I did Uber Eats this camp. Fuck you, Dad. Do you love me now? It was like, it was on par with Moicano, but it was just straight to the fucking point. He had two things he wanted to say. He's like, work hard. And like, fuck you, Dad.
Holy fuck.
That's hectic.
If you like, I've said it before, but I feel like if your dad was a piece of shit, if we're just playing stereotypes here, and you abandon you, like, yeah, lame kid, I don't want to raise this kid, and they ended up winning a UFC belt. I feel like that'd be the kind of thing where a deadbeat dad would be like, fuck, like, how do UFC champion, dad? So I'm sure he really showed him. So shout out to Pantoja. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the actual story is, but yeah,
oh, dude, huge.
I hope it wasn't too bad.
Totally. But yeah, any more comments on UFC 301?
No. Everyone wish me luck at my powerlifting meet on the weekend. I'll keep you guys updated. Keep an eye out on Instagram. That's probably where you see the first update. Get yourself a trial of GPP. We've got a community launching probably by the time this episode's out. So check the show notes and get yourself in the community. It's just a place where I can post things that won't fit on my story because I just want to share a bunch of sick lifting and athletic things there and just chat a bunch of shit. And yeah, there'll be a bunch of different segments for the community as well. There'll be one for like podcast topics and things like that. And yeah, we'll have a guest on soon and we'll chat to you later.
Right. Bye. Laters.